All right, so I've been out a little bit, you know, at Lambton Metal Service doing interviews, but we got back into a home. And this guy right here, I've actually known for quite some time, and I told him a story I don't think he remembered, but Terry Vandenburg, thanks so much for having me in your home here today.
Thank you for having me, Dave.
Yeah. And we've known each other a long time through music and I guess the bar scene and
Yep.
and whatnot. And it was actually you had popped into my head once in a while, and then it was Dan Tidball that actually said, you should talk to Terry Vandenburg. And I said, you know what? I could totally see that. So thanks, Dan, for that.
Yeah, thank you, Dan.
And you were like, I don't know, what am I going to talk about? But
Yeah.
but you've got lots to talk about. We got some guitars here and stuff. But this home that we're in, you've been here since like in the 80s.
Yeah, 83. I bought it in the winter of 1983.
Yeah, nice.
Been here ever since.
Yeah, yeah. And
Despite the fact it's in the south end, no problems. Never had a problem here.
yeah, it's a decent area actually, you know.
Yeah.
And where did you? So you're from Sarnia then?
Yep, born and raised.
Yeah. And where did you go to school?
I went to public school at Lansdowne and high school at St. Clair.
Yeah. Okay. So I must have missed you there because I think you're a little bit older than me.
Just a wee bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I started high school in '69. Back then, the school had live bands, believe it
Yeah.
or not, for your Friday night high school dances.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Wow.
there was a band I'll never forget from Toronto called Black Sheep, and at the end of the night, there was about 4 police officers
Oh yeah.
in the school. They got busted for marijuana.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that was pretty much the end of the bands.
Right. Right. I was born in '69, so
Oh, geez.
yeah, there we just revealed that. But yeah, things really changed a lot back. Things were so different back then, like
Oh.
you say, with the music, and there were less rules.
I would say yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I think it was a more of a relaxing time. Like, we didn't have social media. There was no cell phones.
Yeah.
If you wanted to know where your friends were, you just looked for the house with all the bicycles.
Yeah.
If you wanted to go out at night for a beer, you called your buddies on the phone, and we'd all meet at back then it was the Happy Valley.
Oh yeah. Right.
They had
Wow.
some phenomenal bands, and like they had Helix there. I became good friends with Helix,
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
by going there. Telemann, Toby Red out of Detroit.
Oh wow.
So we had a lot of good live entertainment.
Have you
back
talked to Brian Vollmer lately?
then. I haven't talked to Brian Vollmer since I went down with, it's got to be almost 10 years ago,
Yeah.
with Chain Reaction. They were opening
Oh,
up
yeah,
for
right.
Helix.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I believe it was East Sides.
Oh yeah. Likely. Yeah.
And yeah, that's the last time I talked to him.
Yeah. He was one of my first interviews.
Oh, was he?
Like
Yeah,
13
he's
years
an
ago.
awesome ball of energy, that man.
Oh yeah, yeah. Got the tour of the Rockstar House, and I call it the Rockstar House because it had the big gridiron up
Yeah,
front
yeah.
and everything. And I don't think there was a rock band they didn't play with, right? You know.
Oh no,
those
they
guys.
they were very good. I remember when they first started, they were a cover band.
Yep.
They came to the Happy Valley. They'd say they were here tonight. They would play cover stuff, and then next month or a month and a half, 2 months later, they'd come. Okay, we got a couple of new originals, so they would try out the originals. So every time they came to play here, they had added some originals.
Yeah.
So they got a bunch of originals. They were well received by the crowd. And actually, my wife's favorite song off the Breaking Loose album from Helix, her very first album, was Crazy Women.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she used to tease Brent about that all the time, eh?
Nice.
But yeah, so I got to know those guys pretty good. Really, really awesome bunch of guys. And,
yeah, and they're still rocking.
oh yeah, they're still rocking. Vollmer's still getting out and playing. Helix has got new members now, but
Yeah.
Brent, one of the guitar players from Helix, he's now got a band called My Wicked Twin.
Oh, I didn't know that. That was him. I've heard that name. But,
Yeah.
Okay.
So I post their videos when they shoot a video and send it. I always put it on my page because I happen to like the band. They're a phenomenal band. Eh?
Yeah.
The Doctor can really rock still.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right on. You were in a band yourself though, like back in, was it the 80s as well, or?
Yeah, about 79.
Okay.
Shortly after I got my Iceman, actually.
Yeah.
And I brought it over. I was telling one of the bands that came to the boardwalk in Port Huron. They were playing there, and then we got talking about music and guitars and stuff. So he says, bring the Iceman. So I brought the Iceman over on a Friday night, and Dave played it. Or, yeah, I think it was Dave. Anyway, he says, can you bring it back tomorrow night? And I said, yeah, sure. So I brought it back on the Saturday night, and I'll never forget it. First break they were on, they slid me a piece of paper. Steve slid me a piece of paper and said, how many of these songs do you know? It was their set list for second set.
Yeah.
And I says, I know them all. He says, do you play lead? And I says, I play lead in all of them except, at that time it was 3 or 4 songs I didn't. So anyway, he said, good. He says, he was a rhythm guitar player, vocalist. And so he says, you're playing the second set.
Oh.
And I go, I'm not playing the second set. We're not going on till you do. So anyway, I got up and played. The first song I played in front of anybody was Black Sabbath, Paranoid.
Oh, wow.
And I've got a 100-watt Marshall amp behind me, one of those great big blue stage lights facing at me.
Yeah.
And
I call them the big cannons.
Oh, the big cans. Oh, yeah, and they were hot.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I'm up there, and I've got my guitar kind of turned down, and I guess maybe 10 bars into the song, I said to myself, you know this song in your sleep. So I just said, okay, I'm going to go for it. So I cranked up the guitar, and my Iceman has mirrored pickguard on it. So the floodlight that was on me, I reflected it off my guitar, and there was a girl sitting at the edge of the dance floor, about 50 feet away, and I was kind of farting around with that to get my mind off.
Yeah.
Anyhow, the song went off without a hitch, and after that it just went, it was like I'd been doing it for years, eh?
Yeah.
My knees stopped shaking, and I was basically saying to myself, okay, let's rock this.
The switch went on, and
The switch went on, and that was it.
yeah.
And I got out of
that. They were happy with you?
Oh, yeah. Because they would come up, I can't remember the guitar player's name, the one guitar. Anyway, he says, he'd come over, play, and he says, can you do the solo for this? I said, sure. He says, okay, so, we got through the second set, and it was about maybe 4 months after that Steve was leaving the band.
Oh, yeah.
So I was asked if I wanted to join up, eh?
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and I played with them till 81, when my first kid was born, eh?
Oh, right.
Because we were a Detroit band. Everybody was from Detroit. I was from Canada.
Right.
So we did all the whole Detroit scene.
Oh, okay. All right.
So, yeah, it was a good time. Got out of that.
Yeah.
And then I kept playing at home. And then since that time, I played with as a guest guitarist for Vinyl Revival, like the first version of Vinyl Revival, a band called Detour, Little Wings.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, so...
Oh, I forgot about that.
And then the last time I played live was with CDDC. We were at the Phoenix in Southampton doing I think it was New Year's 2021.
Wow.
So we did that show, and then after that, bands had broken up, venues were changing and whatnot, and so stupid me, the live music scene was kind of changing. So as it went down, I didn't play as much.
Okay.
Because when I was playing, if I was a guest guitarist, I had to make sure I was on my game.
Sure.
So I kept playing 2, 3, 4 hours at home every night.
Yeah.
And then I kind of just my playing followed the down scene kind of the music thing though.
Yeah.
So
What changed? What you talk about changes in the music scene, and any time I interview someone who's a musician or is a part of that community, what do you think? Like, what's changed?
what's changed is I find now I'm going to go back to the heyday of
Yeah.
live band music.
Like you
at
go back
bars.
to, you probably remember like Huey's Junkyard and
Yeah,
places like
Huey's
that.
Junkyard was great.
Right.
Airport Hangar Station,
Yeah.
Happy Valley. Back in those days, a lot of bands were constantly learning new songs
Right.
and adding them to their set list.
Okay.
They all had light shows. They all
Right.
had light shows, sound guys. Most of them had sound guys. And it was an era where when you had to play, a lot of places, I put a couple promo packs together for some bands to play at the Campbell Street Station back, I think, 76 or something like
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Because I believe it opened in 75. But anyhow, they wanted to know a list of venues that they played,
Right.
have maybe 3 or 4 songs that they could watch and say, okay. And they would, some bars here, they would call venues and say, okay, well, this band, what kind of a crowd do they draw? So
Right.
they wanted to get the creme de la creme of
Yeah, sure.
live entertainment, eh?
Well, they want to bring the people in to
Right.
drink and party
And it worked because any band back in the 70s, early 80s, like if you weren't in the bar by 9, you were in line for
Yeah.
at least a half an hour.
Yeah.
And the later it got, there's been times where people have waited an hour to get in to see a band. Eh?
Yeah. That's crazy to think about.
So-
I remember those days. Though.
It was very, very vibrant back in the early to 70s to mid 80s.
Yeah.
And then the music kind of changed. It got into the new wave, like the Cars were coming
Yeah,
out.
right.
And at that time, the Happy Valley, I think it changed from the Happy Valley. I think it was called the Industry,
Oh.
I believe.
Well, there was an industry
Yeah.
downtown. Yeah.
Yeah, and this was, I'm going back maybe mid 70s for that. And they were tearing out the back wall of the Happy Valley, the wall facing Ontario Street
Oh,
to
yeah.
expand the stage.
Right.
And so they had, I believe it was the Industry. Don't quote me on that for sure. But anyhow, after that,
We don't fact check here. You're okay.
yeah, yeah, really, fact check, eh? And then from then it went to Spangles, and they were getting some of the bands that did like stuff like the Cars and
Yeah.
you know, the newer wave rock and roll, eh? And they were still getting good crowds, eh?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. As the '80s went on, the crowds kind of dropped off. Bands were kind of sporadic, and it's didn't seem to be quite as vibrant as it was in the mid '70s, eh? And I remember a band called Rheingold.
Oh.
Larry Gowan, you know
Oh.
Gowan from Styx.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was his band.
Oh, is that right?
One of the best bands that ever come through Sarnia.
Really?
At the time, eh? Had the light show, the costumes, the fog machines. Like it was a show. And I find a lot of bands back in them days did shows.
Yeah.
Like, they were on stage, and then all of a sudden the drummer would go into a solo. The rest of the guys would kind of move off to the side of the stage, feature the drummer.
Right.
If guitar player did a solo, same thing. So that's kind of all changed. They're like bands today. They don't have the light shows that they used to have. Some of them don't. Some of them are trying to add new music to their sets and stuff like that, but it just seems that the attitude these days, people just, like I've had people comment on some of my video posts on Facebook and say,
Yeah, I see you do a lot of that local.
Yeah.
Local support.
you know, I've had comments like, where is what's happening in Sarnia? There's nothing happening in Sarnia. I said, on the contrary, there is a hell of a lot happening in
Yeah,
Sarnia.
there's always something
musically.
going on, even during the week.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, there's karaoke if you're into karaoke. They got solo acts, duos, full bands, and
Lots of open mic nights.
oh, definitely the open mic nights are awesome.
Yeah.
Stevie Dumont had one at his place at Stevie D's.
Yeah.
I used to go out to that. He had the song circle, then he had a rock and blues night, the electric. So you play classic rock and blues and stuff. And then they had another one open. It was an open mic where you go up on stage with somebody if you want. You can go up and play with somebody, like acoustic.
I always enjoyed watching those.
Yeah, they were a lot of fun. And Stevie just started actually a couple of weeks ago what they call a song circle.
Oh.
And every Wednesday night, I think, every Wednesday night, they got the table set up, and you bring your acoustic, I bring mine. You might have 7, 8, 10 people come out.
Right.
You just sit around the table.
Yeah.
And the mic will pass to you and say, want to do a tune? So you start out playing a song and sing, right? And then, so it's kind of a really, really cool thing because everybody gets together and plays. If you don't know the song, you don't have to play it, eh?
Right.
So you get a bunch of people playing music on an acoustic, and you can learn a lot of stuff that way. But yeah, he started that about 2 weeks ago now, so...
Yeah, I heard something was back there. I didn't know exactly what it was about, but and Stevie D. Geez, I should probably have Stevie D on here on the show because he's been around a long time. I remember him in high school.
Yeah, Stevie D is, I would have to say, the man for the music around Sarnia, as far as playing, as far as lining up bands, and anything to do with music. Stevie D's got a hand in it pretty much. Eh?
Yeah.
And he's a damn good guitar player.
Yeah.
He's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And he's got a thing now on Friday nights, I believe, at 7. He'll feature a guitarist. Last week was Tony Bandoni.
Yeah, I saw that.
Did you see that? Wasn't that an incredible show?
No, I didn't see the show.
Oh, okay.
I saw that he was featuring Tony Bandoni.
And so what happens is they'll play from 7 till 8.
Yeah.
And then they'll take a break, and then they go on again from 8:30 to 9:30.
Yeah.
So, it's just 2 sets, about maybe 45 minutes long. And they feature that guitar player, and he's had a few guitar players come through there now. And that's happening every Friday night.
Oh, that's cool. Right on. We'll have to get down there and check that out. How did you learn to play guitar? Like, were you self-taught? Or
I was self-taught.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, you didn't have YouTube back then.
I didn't have YouTube. I had what they called a cassette recorder.
Right.
I would call the riff, and I wanted to learn You're in Love by Rat, say, for instance. I would put the request in and hope to God that when they played it, the announcer wasn't yapping through the first intro.
Right. So you could record it?
I would record the entire song, and then I'd go back and I'd learn it, figure out the key, learn it, and then I'd look at the counter and say the solo started at 2:45 and it went to 3 minutes and 60 or whatever.
Okay.
I would roll that back, play the lead, roll it back, and that's basically how I learned the songs.
Wow.
And actually, I was classically trained in piano when I was 9 years old. I started playing organ and piano.
Oh, really? Here in town?
Yeah.
Who was that? Where did you learn that?
There was a woman on North Brock Street, Mrs. Favell.
Oh.
And she taught organ, so I basically learned more on organ, but also played piano.
Okay, do you still play?
I don't know.
No.
Could
you?
I could if I sat down and did it. But I look at my old music lessons from back then, and you've got notes way above the treble, way below, and I'm going, Like back then, I could read them like nothing. Now I'm going, what's that note way up there?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how I learned, and I took what I learned from that because I did all classical music. It was Bach, Beethoven, Chopin, Tchaikovsky,
Right.
and I would learn the song bits every week, and then play the whole song, get graded, and then he would say, or she would say to me, okay, for your next lesson, I want you to take this Bach's Fifth, say for instance, or Beethoven's Fifth, and okay, I want you to do the same song, but I want you to transpose it into whatever key you want, but do it in a different key.
Yeah.
And then we did the same thing, and then I'd be graded at the end,
Yeah.
So
And you did well at that too?
I did well at that.
Yeah.
I had her as a teacher, and then I had Louis Decker. And I can still remember on organ, there was a church on Brenchley Street.
Oh, yeah.
And they had a 4-keyboard pipe organ, I believe it was. And I can remember my first time playing a pipe organ. I was blown away. So I did that up until I was maybe 15. And then I was in high school, and it was, okay, I got my friends, I got my girls around. Do I want to go home and practice piano or organ for 2 or 3 hours a day? So I kind of got out of it,
Yeah.
I got up to grade 6 and
Nice.
left it all. And
Multi-talented.
well, I don't know about talented, but no.
But you've played in like say the big support is a lot of what you do. Like say I know you record a lot of videos, and sometimes you go live and you put it out there on your Facebook to help promote the local. Why is that so important to you to put that out there?
Because it'll never happen, but I'm trying to get back to people actually going out and listening to live music.
Why don't you think that'll ever happen?
Those are the heydays. They're gone.
Yeah.
Like the attitudes today, like you got cops waiting for if you've drank too much or you can't smoke in the bars. Not that those are major contributors, but I think it's a generational change.
It's a part of it, though.
But I took my first videos at Lizards in 2015.
Oh yeah, right.
And I had no intention of making it a thing, so to speak. I posted it on my Facebook. And it got to the point where, okay, I'm going to just show people in this town that we have bands here. Mm-hmm. There is live entertainment. So it became a regular thing.
Yeah.
I'll take, I do full videos. Like, I don't record parts, I record an entire song, and I might have anywhere from 5 to 10 songs, depending.
Right.
And I post them, and if people happen to go on my page and go, oh shit, Twisted Arm's got a band, or this place has a band, Imperial City, they like Twisted, Imperial City, Refined Fools, they get full bands once in a while. Ups and Downs does. So there's a hell of a lot of live music, and I don't know if a lot of people realize it, we have got in this area a ton of talent.
Yes.
Extremely good talent.
Yeah, I agree.
And I got into lately, like the past couple of years, of also promoting or trying to promote venues.
Yeah.
Because it's good to have a band, and it's good to get that band out there. But you also have to support the venues that hire the live entertainment.
Well, and they're a business too, right? They're hiring the band with the hopes that the people come out so that they have drinks and food, and that keeps their business afloat.
Oh yeah, and the thing this concept just kind of came into my mind the last couple of weeks. I've been thinking about it. You go to a restaurant, and you might recommend a restaurant to me, and I say, okay, so I'll go online to the website, and I will kind of check out the menu. You get see what they serve, get a price on it. So you've got a menu that you can look at, right? And it just occurred to me, what if a venue put a music menu on their website, like right on their page. So if I click on a certain restaurant, I can see the food menu, but I can go to, say, events, and it'll bring up a music menu for, say, for the month of March. It'll have all the entertainment, the bands or performers that are playing in March.
Oh, I see.
April, May. Like, have one once a month, your band lineup.
Yep.
And if I go out to eat and I think, oh, okay, I'll have a bite to eat. Hey, they got a band on tonight. It starts at 8 o'clock. Okay, I'm going to go for supper and maybe stick around and listen to a set.
Yeah.
You know, so I think a music menu on any venues that supports live music, I think would be an extremely good addition to their website.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
great idea. And we're going to tell everybody out there to spread the word about that, right? Because it's important. I mean, the bars and the venues, they got to promote them as much as they can. But again, that comes down to beyond Facebook kind of thing too. You have to put it out there on your website. You have to get people talking about it, right?
Exactly. And that's what I hope. That's what I'm hoping for. Like I go on Facebook for different things. Like I post a lot of videos. I post a lot of fun, stupid memes, but not everybody is going to go to my page. I don't have 10,000 followers.
Right.
And I'm not on Facebook for likes on anything I post. I could care less about likes. You like it or you don't, whatever. What I would like to see on my page is more likes on the videos I post.
Right.
Because that means, okay, I've got 60 people that's seen this band that I posted.
Yeah.
That 60 people, if they tell 60 people, there's 60 more potential people that might come out to that venue to see live entertainment.
Your heart's really in this to happen, and I know a lot of places like Ups and Downs, for example. I know you like going in there and seeing the open mic there with Rick Steves.
Yeah, Rick Steves. Yeah,
and we got a visitor here. Hi there.
That's my little girl.
I interviewed John from Ups and Downs a little while ago, and he talked a lot about how the music industry has changed so much in the sense of and I always say too, like some of these musicians are getting paid the same today as they were back in the day that you're talking about, right?
Definitely. Back in the day, a musician, you could be a musician and you could make a living at it.
Yeah.
You can't do that today.
For $100 a night, but $100 was a lot more back then.
Oh yeah.
$100 now.
And I think a lot of players were even getting more than. At one time, back in the early 70s, the Happy Valley days, like a lot of people that were in bands were making more than guys in a labor union.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, that's all they've ever done for a living is played music.
Yep.
And they've made you don't get rich over it, but you have fun and you make good money and,
make a good living.
I don't think you could do that today.
Well, you really got to stand out, right? There's still artists that are doing things and growing. And what about like music festivals? Do you like going to those?
I love going to music festivals. Yeah. I haven't been to many in the past probably 7 years because my wife got really sick in 2016. She had necrotizing fasciitis.
Okay.
And when we brought her to the hospital, they had her diagnosed at ER in Sarnia here within an hour and a half.
Oh,
wow. The ER doctor contacted a doctor in London, and they had a surgical team standing by when they transported her to London. So, she was in critical care trauma in London for probably 7 months. And since that time, she's had heart valve replacement. She was 2 years away from being on full dialysis. She had lung cancer. And I lost her in 2021. So I was kind of it wasn't there. didn't feel like
It's a
going.
difficult time.
It was hard. It
Not
was
wanting
really
to be
hard.
around people.
Our little visitor here was my salvation.
Yeah.
I never, with her here, I never had to come home to an open house, well, an empty house.
Right.
But I'm starting to get back out there now, and hopefully this year I can start to get to more festivals, eh?
Yeah.
So,
that's
but
good.
I love music festivals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Rock in the Park in London.
Yeah.
The things that they have going on here,
Yeah.
Root Fest in Sarnia.
Yeah. Yeah. Revelry's coming up in
Yeah.
July, and yeah. So, oh, that's good that you're getting back up and doing it. And what about playing? Like, I'm looking over here, and we'll take some video and show. But talk about the guitars that are over here beside us.
Oh, the Iceman is the very first guitar I ever bought.
Yeah.
My wife worked at Boulevard, and she picked up the donuts at 6 a.m.
Oh.
So I would drive her there. We'd go to the Boulevard. She worked at, like it's Craven's now.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But when she was in getting the donuts, Bandlaw Music Store was right beside it.
Oh yeah.
And they had one of those, the Iceman Paul Stanley model, in the window.
Nice.
And I kept looking at this guitar, and I said, that's going to be mine. Well, I went in to make a deal, and I won't mention any names. I was told, well, when you're serious, I'll give you a price.
Oh.
So I didn't go to them, but long story short, I ended up getting one.
Yeah.
And that was the very first guitar I ever owned.
Nice.
And so that's kind of a regular player for me.
Yeah.
And then I've bought other guitars through the years, and a couple of amplifiers. I had Rick Steves make me the home wrecker amp.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've got a 100-watt Marshall, vintage modern Marshall downstairs. And,
Yeah.
and I got about 12 more guitars downstairs.
Wow. Wow.
It's not the need, it's the want.
Right.
And
Yeah,
my wife
yeah,
used to
yeah.
say, what the hell are you buying guitars for? You're not in a band anymore. I said, well, you never know.
I like them.
I like
Just
them.
like them.
I
Right.
said, put it this way, you get to come home and see all these guitars, and I'm spending my money on that as opposed to going to a strip bar.
Well, there you go.
She
right?
goes, you got a point.
Yeah. So, I've a few people I've interviewed that have lots of guitars. I asked this question: have you ever thought of making your own?
No,
No.
No,
Not a handy guy like that.
I'm not handy at all.
No, neither am I. I wouldn't.
I just have, I'm not a DIY guy. It would be nice if I was, but
Yeah.
it would be interesting to make my own, but it's something I never even really considered doing.
No.
eh?
No. You just want to buy it. And
I just
play
want
it
to
and-
buy it and play it.
and sit and admire them like a picture on the
Oh,
wall,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
You know, like I know Stu Brandon, who I interviewed a while back.
I love Stu. He's an
Oh,
awesome
he
guitar
sure
player.
is. And like totally amazing, right?
Oh, yeah.
And he's got guitars that'll never come out of a box. He's like, I just bought it, it's in the case, and that's where it's going to be. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't understand. He's like, well, you got to be a true guitar lover to understand.
Oh, yeah. Well, I got a friend of mine. He's got a 1973 Black Beauty Les Paul. He's got a 73 custom SG.
Yeah.
And he's got a Carlos Santana Paul Reed Smith guitar. It's a copy.
Oh,
But
okay.
Sounds
But
amazing.
still, right?
He's got the Holy V, which is the Gibson came out with a flying V, and it's
Yeah.
got machined out hollow areas in the body.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a Marshall, and he had a high watt Marshall half stack. And he doesn't play a note, doesn't know how to play,
Is that
but
right?
he's just got.
They're
yeah,
like expensive baseball cards.
yeah, very
Right?
expensive.
You don't have to play baseball to own one.
No, exactly. And he, he bought he's got a small Marshall, about the size of my home wrecker there, and he used to keep it up at Stevie D's.
Oh,
Same
yeah.
with his high watt half stack. He'd keep it at Stevie D's, and And he had it also at Stevie D's when Stevie had the complex on Mitten.
Oh yeah, Playfair. Yeah.
Right, Playfair. And he would say, you know, like, what kid, you know, you come out, somebody's coming out, and it was jam night on a Wednesday night, eh? So he brought in a guitar, and he would say, what kid doesn't want to play through a Gibson Les Paul through a Marshall amplifier? It's a big deal to a kid.
Cool. Yeah.
So he did it kind of for that.
That's the
you
thing,
know?
right? Yeah.
So, but yeah, as far as playing, he...
Do you have a favorite guitar player in the sense of like a world renowned, and do you have I don't want to pick on it, make it stand out on anybody local, but do you have someone that you really like to watch?
I would have to say one of my influences when I first started playing was Jeff Beck.
Yeah.
He was phenomenal. I saw him with Eric Clapton in Toronto back in 2010, eh? But there's so many of them, it's hard to say. Like, I see these things on Facebook, world's greatest lead guitarist or whatever, right? And it boils down to who you like.
Yeah.
And and for local guys, I can't, like, there's Tony Bandoni, Rick Steves.
Yeah.
But to pick an actual favorite, I don't go by just their guitar playing. For me, it's heart. Like, you see, I can see a phenomenal guitar player and go, wow, that guy is amazing. I'm going to go home. I saw Sonny Landreth, and I said to Sonny, I said, I'm going to sell my guitars when I get home. He goes, no, son. He says, you don't do that. He says, you want to play them.
Yeah.
And he's probably one of the world-renowned slide guitar players.
Yeah.
I went up to Callahan's, I think it was, with Mark Potvin to see him, eh?
Yeah.
But I like somebody with heart. Like when Rick plays or when Tony plays, they're in it, they're having fun, they're enjoying it, and they're playing from the heart. They're not just extremely good players.
Yeah.
But
there is a difference, right? Like,
big time.
like even a singer, I've always said, hey, I that one there, she sang amazingly, but didn't smile.
Yeah.
This one sounded maybe not quite as good, but she was smiling and performing, and I would sooner watch that anytime.
And I'll give you, for me, everybody's probably going to say, oh yeah, well, you know, but for vocalists, kind of one that kind of stands out because it was from from Van Halen.
Oh yeah.
David Lee Roth.
Yeah, I know, right? He's got
they
forget what they
crap him.
call his voice, but
They crap him, but David Lee Roth was the kind of singer I like to see. He was energetic. He was always doing antics on stage.
he's pretty wild.
And it's not just some guy just singing a song with a good voice. He was like Brian Vollmer when Brian sang. Brian was jumping up on the PA stack and running around swinging his mic.
Love to see him do that now.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry,
really.
Brian.
He probably could.
Yeah.
But, you know, it stood out, you know, and it's the same with any, like, bass players, guitar players. If they're in it and they've got their heart in it, it's interesting. It's more interesting to watch somebody like a guitarist when he's running across a stage doing a flaming solo, as opposed to just standing there looking
and
and
playing
going,
it.
you know.
Yeah.
Two guitar players, equally as good, but this guy just stands and plays. This guy, he's running around the stage enjoying it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I really get into.
I'm the same. I want to see the show. I want to feel the emotion.
Yes,
coming
exactly.
from the entertainer, right? Because they're musicians but entertainers at the same time, and that's what makes you want to go back and I guess maybe buy the album or the CD or whatever they're putting out there, right? Yeah.
Or to even like bring it up to date to go out and see a band.
Yeah. Have you been to a lot of concerts? Like,
in my life,
you got the Led Zeppelin. Is that the? Oh, I thought you had a Zeppelin show.
In my life, I've probably been to maybe 500 concerts.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I saw Zeppelin in '77.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did you see them?
Pontiac Silverdome.
How was that?
That was I think at the time,
Do you remember it?
I bits and I do actually. I wasn't stone drunk and so stoned, but
Yeah.
I had enough faculties left that I could appreciate the band, and
Yeah.
I
That had to
do.
be wild.
I think at that time, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, but I think at that time, that was the biggest indoor rock festival in the world, rock show.
I can see that. Yeah, yeah.
And
Zeppelin. Because
yeah.
I remember, I was in high school in the '80s, right?
Yeah.
And of course Zeppelin had already been around a long time already,
Oh, yeah.
and they were still huge and popular in the '80s with us, and then even into the '90s, and well, still today, right? But
Well, I talked when Lizards was open. I used to talk to a lot of younger, like 20 somethings, that like today's music. They got their own, like the grunge thing. I never really got totally into the grunge,
yeah, me neither.
but a lot of them going like they talk about Led Zeppelin, the old Aerosmith
Yep.
before they kind of got commercial. The Stones.
Yeah.
I've seen the Stones twice. I've seen Aerosmith. I couldn't even name all the concerts
Yeah,
I've
wow,
been
that's
to.
cool though.
But that was the thing, eh? And I paid for it over the later years because back when I was young and foolish, I was the one standing 5 feet away from the PA stack on the front row, eh?
Sticking your head right in there,
Right.
rocking it out. Yeah.
Nowadays, if I go to a concert, like say I go to Pine Knob, I like to try and get under the canopy, maybe 15 rows back.
Yeah.
Because now I'm in the middle, I'm getting a good sound from the PA.
Yeah.
I'm not getting just,
Pine Knob's a great venue too, right?
I love Pine Knob.
I mean, it's not really a bad seat there. It's Bob Seger there, right?
oh yeah.
He was fantastic there.
I've never seen Bob and I kicked my butt that I never did.
Oh, I've seen him twice,
Oh,
and
did
he
you?
was the first time I saw him, and then he played like 2 months later. They were announcing that it was at the Palace.
Oh yeah.
And or no, I saw him at the Palace first, and then 2 months later they announced he was finishing up the tour at Pine Knob, and I thought, hey, I'm going to go because I love Bob Seger, but I don't know if he can do as good of a concert as I saw. And then when I went to Pine Knob, it was like over the top. It was the last concert of the tour.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, in Detroit at Pine
Yeah.
Knob, right? So you knew you were getting yeah, he was amazing. He was amazing.
I've seen a lot of good bands actually at the Palace, Def Leppard and amongst others.
Oh, yeah.
And I think the standout concert for me at the Palace was the Troubadour reunion, James Taylor and Carole King.
Oh, yeah.
That show was a standout for me.
Is that right?
Yeah.
A lot of energy?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And Carol could still hit those notes.
Is that
She
right,
Still
eh?
had it was phenomenal.
Wow.
But I seen Genesis there, and different.
Oh, Genesis. Wow.
But
Oh,
well, I
I'd
saw
love to see
Genesis back. Oh, geez, back in the just before Gabriel left.
So that was...
He left in '75.
Was
believe.
it that long ago? Wow. I'm thinking like 80s, but yeah, okay.
And then I've seen them since then. I seen them at Jerry Stadium in Montreal. I was at my cousin's in Ottawa, and we went and seen them at Jerry Stadium, and I think that was in '82 or '83 or something.
And then, of course, their solo careers, Peter Gabriel and
Yeah,
Phil
and
Collins.
I've never seen him. That's a bucket list one for me. Is Peter Gabriel.
Yeah. I've never seen him either, but
My cousin's seen him a few times.
he did all right.
Oh yeah, I love, and actually speaking of Gabriel, Stevie D is going to do a Gabriel thing. He wants to learn up some. He's got my golden XTS-A, which is a synth guitar.
Oh,
And then I've got a Roland G20 guitar synth, so he's got that up at his place because he wants to do some Peter Gabriel stuff. Eh?
oh, wow.
So-
keep an eye on that.
But yeah, he's Peter Gabriel he's definitely on my bucket list.
Yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
sure. What like different guitars? Like I never. like they'll have a different sound. Like, it's like, why do you? When you see them, what am I trying to say? When you see somebody on stage and they're switching guitars, is it for? I never understood that. Like, is it for a different sound? Is it for a different tone?
I think some of it's tone for
feel?
whatever kind of song they're doing, and I think probably when you get into the concert scene, I think there's probably guitars up there that are in different tunings.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'll be playing my Iceman, say for instance, and I'm in standard A440.
Okay.
So now I want to do a different song, maybe by the Stones or something, and it's in a different tuning. So I'll maybe grab my Gibson.
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't have to spend 10 minutes tuning my guitar into a different tuning, eh? And I think a lot of that is on the bigger bands that they're different tunings, eh?
Yeah, yeah. Did you travel far? Like, I know you said like Silverdome, but like, have you traveled? What's the furthest you think you've traveled to see a concert?
Montreal.
Oh yeah, who was that?
That was the Genesis.
That was the Genesis.
In 81 or 82 or something like that.
Yeah. And who did you go? Your wife went with you, or no? This was before your wife, or
no? Actually, we were in Ottawa, but her and my cousin and my cousin's wife, they stayed in Ottawa.
Oh, okay.
So my cousin Mike, he said, "Oh, I got some Genesis tickets. I want to go in Montreal." So I said, "Yeah, okay." So I think it was me and my brother and my cousin. We went down to see Genesis, and the women stayed at home.
Yeah, cool.
So,
right.
so that was a concert that there was about 1,000 people that tried to crash the gate.
Oh.
There was dozens of cop cars outside.
Oh yeah.
They were, and unlike Genesis, they were like normally they if they play at 8 o'clock, they play at 8 o'clock.
Right.
This time they got maybe a 45-minute late start because there was some, I think, because of their PA system or something, there was something to do, it affected the hydro.
Oh.
So they had no PA sound, and I think there was a few areas around the stadium that had no.
Oh.
So
it caused a little mayhem.
Yeah, a little mayhem, eh? And we were right on the field. Like, we were probably, I would say, maybe 500 feet from the stage when we saw them, eh? So we stood up through the whole show, eh?
Great show, I bet, then, right?
And from what I understand, they don't do it very, very often live, but they did a song called "Supper's Ready."
Oh.
And when they played the starting notes, you know how you hear 3 notes and you know what?
No, yeah, right. You know the song's coming.
Going, wow, they're doing "Supper's Ready." I think it's a 20-minute song or something.
Oh yeah.
And they played that. That was just, the crowd went nuts.
Oh wow! I don't think I've ever heard that one. I'll have to.
I think it's off. I think it's off Lamb Lies Down on Broadway out, but I'm not sure. Right. I lose track of all that kind of stuff. You know.
Are you a record guy? Like, do you still have records around?
I have vinyl downstairs.
Yeah.
I've probably got 1,000 records downstairs.
Wow.
So.
That's changed so much, like I think a little bit of vinyl seems to be coming back. Bands are releasing on vinyl, but was it beyond the music? It was really about the album covers, wasn't it?
Oh, album covers was an art.
Yeah.
You know, they used to have the most amazing artwork on an album cover, right?
Yeah.
It was. You could actually take them and hang them on a wall and have a gallery.
Yeah, right.
An art gallery.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, there are places that have, right?
Oh, yeah.
Museums and stuff. But
I used to draw my own off album covers when I was in high school, and make my own posters, eh?
Oh yeah.
I get to draw the cover, like I did the one for Black Sabbath 4.
Yeah.
You know, the black and yellow, and I used to draw them and color them.
Oh wow.
And then those were hanging on my bedroom wall.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot to remember. Like, when I think of album covers, I think of ELO, and I think of Queen.
Oh yeah.
And Beatles, and yeah, that's. Do you think that we? What is it about vinyl compared to, say, a CD for you if you listen to the
Hands
song.
down, it sounds better.
You know what? It's just something about that vinyl.
You know, it's kind of like comparing a state, what do they call that? A tube amp against solid state amp.
Right.
They both sound great, but you can't beat the warmth
Yeah.
of a tube amp
The
for
tubes.
sound wise.
Yeah.
Like the hotter they get, the better the amp sounds.
Yeah.
And it's the same with vinyl. Vinyl, like, is one of my favorite vinyl labels, and it wasn't mainly rock and roll bands. Like, they were more into the I would have to say, like, it's hard to put an artist on it. Jazz fusion, Windham Hill, like they were very, very top quality vinyl, eh?
Mm-hmm.
But the vinyl, when you put that needle on that record, and you got a good sound system, good turntable, and you just couldn't beat it.
Yeah.
It sounded warm, like you were there, as
Yeah.
opposed to a CD. It sounds produced.
Yeah.
And I was in the studio with Mark Burkholder.
Oh yeah.
He wrote a song that he was going to try to sell to an artist. And we were in a studio down in Toronto, and we got talking to the sound engineer. Like, we went into the booth there, into the room, and playing back bits and pieces of the stuff that we'd recorded on. I wasn't playing, but we were recording it on the floor, eh? And there was one where they had to change a drum beat. It was supposed to be a drum tap, I think, on the snare or something like
Yeah.
that. And they just digitally brought it back. Okay, we'll insert the drum tap there. And they put it in. And even he said, you know, this I don't like as much as I do the 2-inch tape. He said he says, we have to do everything digital because that's the way the world is now.
Yeah,
that's the way
yeah.
it is. You don't get hired if you use analog equipment
Right.
anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So he says you got to keep up with the times, and this is, unfortunately, is the times. Eh?
Yeah. Mark on my list. Mark Burkholder. Like, I went to high school with him, and
Awesome guy.
amazing. Very, very intelligent and such a very talented guy. So, Mark, if you're watching, I'm coming for you.
Love you, Mark.
Yeah, right on. And so here's the guy who said that he really would have not much to talk about. But I knew, and again, thanks to Dan Tidball, I knew that it wouldn't be a problem. We get you talking about what you love. And
Oh, it's a passion. I
Yeah.
say, I'm just getting back into playing again.
well, I think that's great to see, because I did kind of know that you had kind of got, a bit of a slump for obvious reasons, and
Yeah.
that's hard. It's nice to see you're coming through that, and everybody knows you downtown and wherever you go. Like, oh, there's Terry, and something else too. That real quick before we wrap up, you've got a cool car, don't you?
I used to have. I sold it last year.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I did.
Oh, we'll talk about what that was, because that was a nice car.
It was a 2005 Mercedes-Benz SL 500.
Yeah. I've never seen you cruise around town in
That was my baby.
Oh,
But unfortunately, I was a little bit disappointed in the quality. I thought Mercedes was creme de la creme as far as quality,
right.
but it needed some work, and I
Alright.
got work done on it, and it seemed to be okay. I got this fixed. There's $3,000 gone.
Right.
This goes. There's another 25. You know that.
Yeah,
And
it was
just-
time, I guess.
It
Yeah.
was just okay. Do I want to put any more money into? If I was working, I probably would have, because I loved it,
Yeah.
and wouldn't hesitate to buy another one.
Yeah. There
But
you go.
It was
Maybe in the
was
future.
beautiful, retractable hardtop. You see a
Yeah.
lot of comments on that. Eh? Like,
Oh, yeah.
wow.
It was a gorgeous car. I remember that.
I said, hell, they had these in the 50s. Lucille Ball, I think, advertised. I think it was a Ford.
Oh, is that
Had a
right?
retractable hardtop.
Oh, wow.
It was a family car, but yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, I love that car. It was a nice car, but I had to unfortunately make the decision to let
Yeah.
it go.
Tough decision sometimes.
So now I'm driving a really nice Hyundai Elantra, 2010.
There you go.
My wife bought that.
Yeah.
And she would not let me pay for it. She wanted to pay for it herself.
Yeah.
So she bought that. And
Yeah.
so that's what I got now.
Cool. Well, Terry, thank you so much.
Well, thanks a lot,
I really
Dave.
appreciate you giving us your time here. And I just love sitting listening to guys like you, because once you get going, it's like there's so much knowledge going on there. And now we've been able to share it with all of our viewers out here. So thanks to all of you for watching. And one more time for Dan Tidball for hooking us up here.
Well, thanks, Dan.
Yeah, for sure.
Appreciate it.
And maybe, Stevie D and a few others, Mark Burkholder, that out of this conversation, I go, oh, yeah, okay. So I'm coming after you out there. But right now, click the like and the love and, of course, the share button so we can share Terry's story and everybody else. And as always, that's all the time I got for you this week. Have a great week and an even better weekend. We'll see you next time right here in the show. Bye for now.
Have a great week, folks. Enjoy.